Well, hello, Alana. Welcome to the show.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for
Yes,
having me.
you too. So, you are a 24-year-old full-time YouTuber. Why don't you share with our listeners and viewers how you came to be a full-time YouTuber at 24 years old?
So, I first started posting when I was a freshman in college. I watched YouTube more than like TV or movies or anything like that when I was in high school. So, I really had like a strong urge to try it out. And I did finally try that when I was a freshman in college. But it actually took me about a year of posting every single week, sometimes multiple times a week, to make like $100 from Google.
Mhm.
So it wasn't a full-time job for maybe 2 years. And I think that's why sometimes people give up on it, because there are a lot of people that I know, not like super personally, but people like maybe I went to high school with and talked to a few times, who like saw that I was doing YouTube and saw that I was growing and then would DM me and be like, "Oh, I'm trying to post, like, what should I do? Can you help me?" And I'll help them. But then I see that they don't keep doing it because I think they are under the impression that they're going to post one thing and they're going to blow up, or maybe
Yeah.
like they'll post 10 things and then one of those, like, so anyone out there, if you really want to do it, you have to be consistent with it. I mean, sometimes people get lucky and they just blow up, but I'm honestly kind of glad that that didn't happen for me, just because I think if I would have posted like, let's say 10 videos and had a huge following, I don't think I would have learned how to grow a following in that
Mhm.
short amount of time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, sorry, that was like a really long response to your question.
No, that's fine. The longer, the better. And so, did you go into college thinking that you wanted to do something in video production, or even YouTube?
No, so growing up, my dad always tried to inspire my siblings and I to go into like the medical field or become lawyers or something like that. So my plan when I went to college was to become a physician assistant. I just like looked at the medical path to become a doctor and I was like, that's too much for me.
Mhm.
My brother is now a doctor, so I'm very, very proud of him. But I just knew I could never do that. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll try to become a PA. So as soon as I graduated as a senior from high school, I got my nurse aid license. So I spent the summer like going to those classes and taking the tests and stuff like that. I got my license because when you are trying to apply to get into physician assistant school after you do your 4 years of undergrad, you have to have like thousands of hours for certain schools of direct patient care. So becoming a nurse aide and working at like assisted living facilities or in people's homes with private clients, that's how you get those hours. So I was actually going to school, college, 5 days a week. I was working as a nurse aide every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I actually was doing an academic study when I was in college, and I was trying to grow on YouTube and working at that every single day and posting every single week. So it was a lot. But I'm grateful that I chose that path, because I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't do all of those things. And I really think that it all like had to work itself out. So yeah, it took me about 2 years of doing YouTube full time until I could really make it a full-time job. And at that point, I decided I actually finished my last class of my sophomore year of college, and it was summertime. So I was, enjoying the summer. And I didn't know when I went to that last class of college in my sophomore year that that was going to be my last college class ever. So I didn't plan on leaving. But
Mhm.
after that 2 year mark, like during that summer, is when things were like consistently really good financially from social media. So I actually switched to like wanting to become a lawyer somewhere in those 2 years.
Oh.
Going to college, like I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I thought,
Mhm.
let me take like a year off. I'll focus on YouTube and try to think of what I want to do if I go back to college. And then
Mm.
I just continued to do YouTube and Instagram stuff, and it worked out. So
Oh, wow. Okay. So you had 2 years of college and you
yeah,
said, let me take a year off. Let me do some YouTube. And then in the meantime, I'll figure out what I want to do with my life. Right.
yeah,
And then your channel just sounded like it took off and you never went back. So
right.
what at that point, it sounded like you were uploading consistently once a week. Did you maintain that schedule once you finished school?
I don't think I missed a post for, I want to say like 4 years. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but I was like really, really strict on myself. Like, you cannot miss a video. It has to be at this time on this day, every single week. I like had so much anxiety about it. I go to therapy now, so that's
Hmm.
better.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, I'm not going to drive myself absolutely insane and work myself to an unhealthy level so that I can post a video on like Thursday when it's the world's not going to come crashing down if I post it on Friday, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, yeah, it was really hard trying to figure out a work-life balance because you're in charge of your own schedule. You don't have a teacher or a boss or a parent coming into your room. Get up, you have a schedule, you have to be here on time. This is when you can take lunch. You have to do all of that yourself, which is obviously really nice. And working from home is really nice. And it has a lot of benefits, but it is also hard because I feel like there was no one in my life or really online, I guess, that I've seen. I'm sure there are, but I just haven't seen people talking about like how to create your schedule as someone who does social media and works for themselves and how hard that can be. I've seen some people talk about it, but
Hmm.
that was something I really struggled with. But
Yeah, especially at such a young age, I feel like kind of college is a time that some people kind of figure that out, but even then, not really, because then afterwards you're usually in some kind of career or job that
right.
forces that schedule upon you. Whereas for you, it's like a free for all. It's like, okay, well, one video a week, but like, how do you manage it? So for you, how did you figure that out?
Like a healthy work-life balance, you mean, or just my schedule
Yeah,
in general?
both. I mean, I'd say, healthy work like life balance, but also your schedule.
So my schedule, it's tough still to this day to figure it out because I don't really know what my week's going to be like until it's happening. Because every single day that I check my email, I'll get, an email from a brand that I have never worked with before, or they want to do a new video. And I'm like, okay, now I have to rearrange everything to fit this brand in. Now I have to film this video. I didn't expect that. Like yesterday, I didn't know that I was going to have to post this week, you
Hmm.
know? But when I was younger, like maybe the first 3 or 4 years when I was doing YouTube, I just said yes to like every brand that I liked and trusted, to the best of my ability and research, and was like, okay, they're cool. I would just, they would ask me, do you have time? And I'm like, yep, I have time. I have time. I have time. And I was just working myself like crazy. So now, once I have like 4 or 5 brands that I'm going to work with for the month, I have to force myself to tell the brand that I have to post them next month.
Hmm.
So that's just made my life a lot easier. So that once I have those 4 videos, now I know what my month is looking like. So that has helped a lot, like knowing when to say no or just say yes, but not like right now. Cause sometimes brands are like, we need the video in 2 days, or, it's
Yeah.
like that. So, and then the work life, I mean, that kind of goes with the work life balance, but I learned, all of the boundaries I have with my job and in my life in general, I've learned in therapy. So I've been in therapy for about 2 years. I had really, really bad depression. And I had anxiety too, but the depression was really bad for as long as I can remember.
Mm.
And so I started therapy, like I said, 2 years ago. I was doing individual therapy, like talk therapy, one on one, 2 days a week. And I was also doing DBT therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, or dialectic behavioral therapy. once a week. So I was going to therapy 3 times a week. I'm still doing that now.
Hmm.
I absolutely love therapy. I journal. Yeah, so that has really changed my life, just doing therapy in general. But that's improved like my relationships, my family dynamic. It helped me get out of certain relationships with friends, with a significant other. It helped my job, how I view my job. So yeah, I'm really grateful that I have the opportunity to go to therapy and that, yeah, I really love it. But
Did you did the YouTube, being successful on YouTube, did that hurt or help your depression? Because you said you've had that for a long time.
yeah,
Did you feel that the YouTube almost like made it worse and you had to learn how to deal with it? Or, how did YouTube kind of play into that?
yeah, YouTube definitely made it worse. I would wake up all the time feeling the symptoms of depression. Um, and then you have to force yourself to be creative and be sexy online and be fun and have this outgoing personality. And I mean, I was really strict with myself. Like I said, for like 4 years, I really wasn't taking a break. I didn't have a weekend. If I went on a trip, I was filming, I was editing, I was doing something. I really didn't have a break for like 4 years. So that in it of itself, having any job, if you're working that frequently, is going to affect you mentally. But the fact that I was on camera and I had to listen to all these people's opinions about me, and like, I'm not selling a product, I'm selling myself kind
Yourself.
of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of pressure. And you're like, I don't want to read the comments, but I have to see if people are liking the product. Do I have
Mm-hmm.
to change the product? So I've learned how to manage that as well. And I don't mean to speak so negatively about it, because like now that my mindset is changed and I see my job from a different perspective and I have these healthy boundaries and I have this healthy balance, like I see mainly positive things about my job on the day to day. And I'm so grateful that I have this job and opportunity, but it definitely is something that I had to just trial and error figure out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that YouTube is an incredible opportunity, but I do think with that comes there's a price to pay in some ways. And
Yeah.
I think the younger you are, where you see success on YouTube, it can be quite difficult because it's like while you're still figuring yourself out and finding yourself and kind of finding yourself in the world, now you're thrust into the public eye, so to speak. And all of that feedback, that's hard. If you're not established, it's like I think it's different if it's like, I talk to a lot of people that are starting YouTube, when they're already married and a mom and like they kind of have their
Right.
life figured out. And then, even then they say it's hard, but it's like, whatever. But like I think at that age when you're younger, it is much harder from a mental health perspective.
Yeah.
How did you find, well, was there a breaking point or something where you finally did go to therapy? Because it sounded like it was 2 years into YouTube that you started the therapy.
Well, I started YouTube in 2017, and I started going to therapy in 2020. So this October will be the 2-year mark of
Okay. So kind of
therapy.
like, yeah. So a couple years. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years, about
3 years into YouTube.
yeah, 3, 4 years. But I just got to a point where I was feeling really hopeless and numb, and I wasn't enjoying things that you're typically supposed to enjoy. Like when I was out with my friends, I wasn't really in the moment. I wasn't where my feet were. I was in my head. I was thinking about work. I was thinking about comments. I was thinking about a million different things. Um, I never felt satisfied with anything. No amount of money I made, nothing I could buy, no relationship with myself or other people would make me happy. I just always was constantly feeling like something was wrong with me for not like enjoying the human experience the way that I felt other people were, or that I was supposed to. And when you live like that for so long, you start to have really like dangerous thoughts. And those were becoming more of a frequent thing and something that I was very afraid of, what I was capable of. So that's when I really thought, I need to go to therapy. So, and then after they evaluated me, they said, they recommended like 2 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started doing the DBT therapy too, which is a pretty, I don't know if I would say intense, but it's like, I think it's like 6 months to a year, the program. It's a 500-page book. There's worksheets. It gets very, very, very granular. I have like an insane amount of like notes. I'm always on my laptop when I'm in sessions and I'm writing down all these things, but it's recommended that you take it at least twice because it's that much information that you really like don't get as much out of it if you just do it once. So it's a very interesting type of therapy. I really enjoy it. But yeah, so that was kind of why I was like, all right, I need to go to therapy, or I can't fix this by myself.
Mm-hmm. After how long in therapy did you find that things were improving for you?
So about 8 months ago to now, that's the first time I can remember in my life that I haven't felt the symptoms of depression, which is insane. Like, I've been just waking up every single day. It's so amazing not feeling hopeless. I don't know how, like, it's so hard to explain to people.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, my dad will ask me, what does it feel like to be depressed? Like, what do you feel? How did you feel all these years? And I'm like, it's so weird that this is not normal for you. Like, this is my whole life. This is all I know. Right. So now these 8 months, like, I wake up and I sit on my porch every single day and I watch like the trees blow and my dogs play outside and I drink my coffee, and I'm just like so grateful and happy that I'm just okay,
Oh, that's amazing. So it took a little over a year of this intense therapy to see any kind of difference.
Right.
How did you keep going in that time? Because that's a long time to be doing something. And it sounds like it was quite the time commitment to be doing something. And then, like, were you slowly seeing results, or were they good about saying, okay, it's going to take a while, so just, keep going at this?
No, they never really said, it's going to take a while. They never said, just keep going or whatever. Cause I really don't think they know when a specific person is going to like feel better. But, so I was frustrated at times because I'm like, I talk to this person twice a week, every single week. Like, I'm putting a lot of time into this. And then I'm also doing this class. So that's 3 times a week. I was also doing couples therapy at the time. So it's like a lot. Yeah. And you really need to be monitoring every single thought you have if you go to therapy, because what are you going to talk to this person about if you're not paying attention to how you are acting and feeling and interacting with other people? So it's a lot on top of like an already busy schedule. And I moved a few times in that time where I was doing therapy. So it was a lot, but I realized one day that I hadn't felt the really extreme symptoms of depression in, let's say, like 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, this is really weird. And I was really scared because I'm like, this isn't going to last. And I was like, this feels so good, but I just know that this is like a temporary thing. This has never happened to me before. And then I just woke up every single day and I wasn't feeling depressed. And so, like, I can remember the last time I really felt it. And it was about 8 months ago. So I actually asked my therapist the other day, because I was diagnosed with major depressive disorders. And I asked her, like, is this something that is going to follow me the rest of my life? Or like, do I not have this anymore? And she said that, I have the history of it. You can go through periods of depression again in your life, but, I'm still in therapy and I have different mindsets now that no matter what I'm going through, nothing's going to change that. I have the skills that I've learned. I have, it's so funny because like people have asked me that before, like, when did therapy start working for you? And I'm like, it's not like I had a bunch of sessions. And then that last session, I was like, oh, I'm cured.
Yeah.
It's like a million little things that my therapist has said to me, or that I've come to the realization of in therapy, because that's what it really is when you're an individual. They're not really telling you much. They want you to come to the conclusion. They want you to figure out what you should do. So it was a lot of just little tiny moments where, like, as time went on, I guess my way of thinking just changed. And it's crazy how strong your mind is and how it affects so much of our lives that we don't even realize. Like those really quick thoughts that you don't even pay attention to, like, really affect you. And I think probably the biggest thing that changed for me or helped me was that she told me, my therapist, that I can control my emotions and my behaviors and my depression. And up until that point, I thought I have depression, like something's off in my brain, or something caused this to happen to me, and this is just how I am. This is just how my life's going to be. It's something that happened to me. It's not something I can control. And obviously for some people, there is a chemical imbalance. There is something they're born with, whatever it is, a situation that happened, possibly that, they really can't control the things that are happening in their head. But for me, when she said that to me, I was like, wow, I have the ability to fix this. Like, if I really continue with this and put in the work and stop acting like this is just something that's out of my control, I can do this. And that's kind of when I was like, all right, it's my responsibility now to fix this situation,
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool that talk therapy, and it sounds like that group therapy helped you so much. At any point, what did they ever suggest any type of medication, or was it just the therapy that helped you with this?
I got pretty bad, like probably worse after I started the therapy. When was that? I want to say October of last year. I was very concerned about myself, and I actually reached out, when I was in a session one day. I was like something really, really bad happened, and I think I'm scared, and I think I should take medication. And so she's not a psychiatrist, so she can't prescribe. So I talked to a psychiatrist, and she recommended a medication, and I had a lot of questions, and I'm like, something just didn't sit right with me, that like this was going to change the chemistry of my brain. But they didn't do, obviously, any testing to actually know if I have a chemical imbalance in my brain, or if my depression comes from like how I was raised. And it's something that by talking about it and reworking how I think, I can fix it. So I was just really scared to take medication, which obviously I'm not knocking medication. Some people need it, of course. But it was just something that I wasn't wanting to do. I think I needed to talk to her about it. And I think I had
explore the option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't something I wanted to do, but, like I said, obviously a lot of people need it, and it's great to take it. But, I know people who have taken like 10 different types of medication, and they all didn't work, and they all kind of negatively impacted them. And I'm kind of happy that I chose not to do it, because if I would have gotten better after taking the medication and continuing therapy, I would never know if I got better because of the medication or because of I kept going to therapy. And now I know that I got better with just the therapy without medication. So I think a lot of people think that the medication is like a quick fix, and it's not. Like, you have to keep going to talk therapy. In my group, like, they don't give you medication unless you continue to go to therapy. So it's not a quick fix. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it makes it worse. Sometimes it works, but it wasn't a risk that I really wanted to take, I guess.
And with is it EBT? EBT?
DBT.
DBT. Is that something you're still doing?
Yeah, I'm in my
Okay.
second round now.
Okay.
So I just started. I think it's our third class, the next one. But yeah, so it's awesome. I love
Did you
it.
feel like there was the talk therapy versus the DBT that worked better? Or did you feel like the combination of the two is what really helped you?
I think a combination is good, but if I had to pick one that was more significant in changing my way of thinking, I want to say the DBT just because it gets so granular, like I said, where I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like you're basically the point of the therapy is to radically accept certain parts of yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
also make changes about yourself and how you think. So, but I shouldn't really say that one is better than the other because I feel like it is the combination probably because the things that I learn in DBT, I would take to individual therapy
Mm-hmm.
because my DBT instructor or teacher is my individual therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So it was that was
Oh,
really
wow.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
so a lot of people don't have that. Like they would go to individual therapy with someone else and then also take the DBT class, but
Mm-hmm.
she's very versed in DBT. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, that like I have the same person all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she's really cool. She's not that much older than me, which I think is also really cool because she like
Mm-hmm.
understands
Kind of what you're
my
going through in
job.
your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we
Mm-hmm.
laugh a lot. She's kind of like a friend,
Yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah, well, 3 times a week. Yeah, you probably talk to her more than anybody else.
I know. And it's so funny now because like I'm dating and the stories I tell her, she's like, I cannot wait to see you in 2 days. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I
it's
want to
so
hear like, yes, I want to hear
all
what
the
happened.
all the drama, but
Well,
it's
I'm
fun.
so glad that therapy worked for you and that you got yourself out of that. And so, going back to your YouTube channel, it- you were going through something kind of dark and very personal while you were building up this career on YouTube. How much of this were you sharing, if any, with your audience?
I was sharing it a little bit, but YouTube is weird because people watch like glimpses of your life and they
They
start to
think they know you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they start to
Hmm.
paint this picture of what they think you do with most of your time. And it's so skewed because I would post like one video about depression amongst hundreds of videos of like cosmetic things and makeup and clothes and whatever. When really, like the depression and my mental health was something that affected me so significantly every single day. And that was what was on my mind most of the time, along with like my relationship with my siblings, parents, family, significant other, like that stuff was mainly on my mind. Um, and I'm just doing YouTube as like my job and filming like for an hour or two a week, sometimes not that much, but people like really get this idea of you that really isn't accurate. So I talked about mental health. I can think of like two or maybe two, I think four videos maybe I have on my channel dedicated to that. But
Mm.
people like don't see sometimes every single video you post. So they kind of just see like your channel as a whole and they make assumptions about you. So it's kind of funny because no one knew that I was having a bad day unless I said something in one
Hmm.
of those four videos, like I'm struggling. But it's funny too because people sometimes comment like, "Oh, you seemed off in this video." But that wasn't actually one of like my worst days, like
Mm.
on the worst days, I would make a video and nobody would know. So it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting. So, how were you able to almost live this double life in a way?
So growing up, my dad kind of instilled in all of us that our work ethic, I guess you could say. And it's funny because him and I talk about this all the time. But we both, everyone knows, I guess, in our family that it was a little too extreme.
Mm.
Um, and he acknowledges that now, and he's different with my sister. I have a younger sister, so he's not repeating the behavior. Like we have conversations about it.
All that therapy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You're like, okay, Dad, here's what I learned.
I know. No, but he's great because
Mhm.
like I really look up to him in the sense that he is taking the feedback. He's not becoming defensive. He genuinely wants to like become a better person and take in what I'm saying and not make those, you know, kind of mistakes with my sister. So I see how he is with my sister and I'm like so proud that he's modifying, you know, for the better. So anyways, he had a company. He didn't go to college and he worked every single day and slept like 3 hours a day for like 7 years. I didn't see him a lot growing up. He was growing this huge company in the city. So he would always constantly tell us these stories about how hard he worked and everything. So we were kind of under the impression that if you're not working yourself to an unhealthy level, you're
see
failing.
success.
Right. So I felt like not getting out of bed, or I felt like actually trying to enjoy a vacation. But because I had so much anxiety, like I felt I couldn't stop. You know, it almost was worse to like sit there and do nothing and feel like a failure, where I'm like, okay, at least I'm
keep
gonna
yourself busy and you're working and you're
at least I'm gonna make money. At least I'm gonna continue to grow on YouTube. I'm still gonna feel depressed, but like at least I'm getting that done. It just would have made it so much worse if I didn't, you know, but and it was super hard relaxing those kind of crazy hours and stuff I had and like strict rules that I had with myself. It took me like over a year of therapy, and my therapist and I would always talk about trying to relax a little bit with work. Like, don't be thinking of ideas for videos like 24/7. Like it took me like a year of therapy or more to take a weekend off. And, you know, so it was really, I did it slowly where I'm like, okay, let's take a weekend off. Okay, now let's not work until 11 o'clock at night. Let's, you know, like little things like that over time from the therapy helped me. But it's really hard to undo things that it took me 20 something years to become the person habit. Yeah. So it takes a lot of effort and you have to really want to do it. If you're going to do therapy, you know, you have to really want to do it. But yeah,
that's so interesting. It's like YouTube is the kind of career where literally that's a struggle that a lot of people have, is when do you turn off? Right. Especially if you have the kind of channel where you're vlogging a lot, or, you know, you're sharing kind of a lot of your day to day, and then you go and edit and you're doing this and that. It's hard to literally turn that off. So it's like you already had this kind of propensity to have that type of behavior. I mean, you probably do it in any career, but with YouTube, it's like it played into that in a way. It's like you almost, I wonder if in a way you're even attracted to it because it was like the more you work, the better you get, the more you succeed.
Right.
And so that's it. It's so interesting. And so where are you now with that?
So I don't feel guilty really anymore if I am not working 24/7. So when I am taking the weekend off, I don't think about work, where like it didn't happen like that at first. Usually, you know, when I was starting to try and do that, I would still feel really anxious and I would still feel like I was missing opportunities and not doing good enough. And I was like failing just because I was taking the weekend off. But now that I've been doing it for a while, it feels normal. And it's something I actually really look forward to. Like on a Friday, I'm like, oh, at the end of the day, you know, I get to enjoy the weekend, because I hadn't felt that in like 4 years. You know, when it's Friday and you're in school, you're like so excited because you don't have to do anything really over the weekend, maybe have a little homework, but like, it's just such a release. So, it's really nice having the weekends, and it's really nice not feeling guilty at the end of the day. Cause even during the week, I used to feel guilty. Like if I was cooking dinner, I'm like, well, I could be filming this. Like literally, like you said, every single thing.
Everything.
Is about, I would be in the shower and I'm like, I should do a video about the shampoo I use and scalp massages or body exfoliate. Like every single thing can be a video. So,
especially if you have a lifestyle, the type of channel that you have, you really can talk about anything.
Yeah. So, but it's really nice not having that guilt. And I wish I could attribute it to like a specific way of thinking or like a quick thing where I'm like, that's what I did to not feel guilty or anxious when I wasn't working. But it's like, I really can't pinpoint one thing.
All that therapy, probably.
Yeah.
A lot of work on yourself. Well, we're moving into kind of the last part. This is a fast kind of bonus round. And first off, thank you so much for kind of being so raw and open with your struggles, because I do feel like, I mean, I'm somebody that has worked with a lot of YouTubers. I coach YouTubers. I have a YouTube boot camp. I run YouTube channels. So I'm having these types of conversations with YouTubers all the time, but it's not always like public for everybody to hear. And YouTubers have a lot of mental health struggles. And so thank you so much for sharing it, because, you know, that's who's listening is other creators and YouTubers. And I think it's so important to share this story. So thank you. Thank you for that. So now we're going to jump into just the last part. I call it like the bonus round, fast questions. And we probably touched on some of these already, but yeah, we'll just kind of bang right through it. Okay. So first question is, and you've kind of probably spent the last, I don't know how long you've been talking about it, but what would you say is your number one struggle with YouTube?
Well, now it's different. Now it's just like coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
You know, so definitely I would rather struggle with that than
what you were doing before. The workaholic. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were to start over your YouTube channel right now, what would you do differently?
Ooh, I would probably keep more things personal. I would definitely talk about mental health as in depth as I do. But when it comes to like relationships or breakups, like the most recent video I posted about my engagement ending, I kept it very kind of like I gave enough detail, but not too much detail. And that's how I want to be going forward. So that's how I would definitely be if I was like starting from scratch, you know, protecting a lot of things about my life and the people in my life.
I've heard that before from other people. What is your favorite video that you've uploaded on your channel?
Not the most fun video, but I think the video that I'm the happiest is on my channel is about major depressive disorder, because I've gotten like, I don't even know how many emails, like just people thanking me, saying that everything that they feel, like I just put into words by explaining how I feel in that video. And like, this is the video they saw that made them want to go to therapy or something like that, you know? So
yeah. Wow. That must feel good. Yeah. And for those of you watching this, what I'll do is I will take those videos, Alana, on your channel, and I'll link them in the description in case you want to kind of hear more of that part of your story. It sounds like you have a couple on your channel, right?
Yeah, there's a few.
All right. So what is your number one tip for preserving your mental health as a creator?
I would say, as tempting as it is to post something for views that you might not be comfortable with, don't post something just because you know it's going to get a lot of views. If you know it's going to be controversial and those comments are going to affect you, it's not worth it. Like I think I'm pretty good at my job, you know, like I feel like I know how to get a lot of views, but I'm not doing those things to get like quick views just to get views. Like I'm making things that I'm genuinely like happy and proud of. And I know they're going to get less views, but I'm still making a living and I'm so much happier. So I think
that's what matters, really, how happy you are.
Right.
Yeah. Have you ever wanted to give up on your YouTube channel? What happened there and how did you get back on track?
Yeah, I wanted to give up all the time for a long time, because I knew that it was making my depression worse. But like, I didn't know what else to do. So instead of getting rid of the job, I learned how to fix what was going on with me mentally and look at my job from a different perspective. So
yeah. Any video you uploaded that you were super excited about, but just kind of bombed?
I think, well, I did a mental health video. It didn't do great. but it was really about me, like, just being grateful for everything I have in my life and like all the things I do in a day, like journaling and all that stuff to like really preserve my mental health. So I wish more people would have seen that, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's always frustrating when something like that doesn't do well. Cause
Doesn't
like
take off.
if it's something like clothing or makeup, it's like, all right, whatever. But
Yeah.
that one I really wish like more people saw, but a lot of people saw the other mental health ones, which is great. And I try to talk about that stuff in other videos too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, I'll link that one in the description also. So
Okay.
people are
Thank
probably curious to like be like, well, I want to see it now, you know.
you.
So
Thanks.
um what is your biggest opportunity you got as a result of being a content creator?
That's a hard question because initially I was going to say like I did an episode of MTV, which was
Mm-hmm.
super cool, but I feel like that didn't really have a long-term effect on me. So I think just when you have a following, you get like constant, opportunities and brands that you get to work with. And that is like the biggest thing that changes your life. I mean, there are some brands that I work with like consistently. So just having that one video that I did with them, like that kickstarted like, years of a relationship with that brand. And I've worked with them so much and, you know, I don't know, that's hard.
I'm curious of that MTV. What was it? Was it like an episode about you being a YouTuber or like what show was it?
So they found my videos that I posted about like cosmetic procedures, and
Hmm.
it was an episode of True Life. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, so they wanted to like film me getting filler, and we filmed for like 60 hours, something like
Oh,
ridiculous like
wow.
that, for like a 15-minute,
Segment. Yeah.
portion of an episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was an
Yeah.
interesting experience. It was cool. But yeah,
Yeah. What would you say has kept you going over the last, X number of years of being a YouTuber?
I would say when I read those emails from people, that's what really keeps me going because I'm like, okay, I'm actually like affecting real human beings. And it's not
Mm,
just about the mental health stuff, but I've talked a lot about like my relationship and friends in bad relationships. And I've gone through a lot of like toxic, abusive relationships. So I've talked about that. But I haven't really gone into that too much with this specific person I'm thinking of. But yeah, so when I talk about relationship stuff and people, come to me and ask me for advice about like things they're going through, or they say that my video empowered them to like get out of a toxic situation, like stuff like that really motivates me to
mhm.
keep going. And obviously, it's how I make my living. And I think that that'll always be something that motivates me. I feel like a lot of people don't like to say that, but it's like,
Mhm.
this is my, this is how I make
Yeah.
money, and this is, I want a certain lifestyle. So,
Mhm.
um, just like, that was ingrained in me since I was a kid. Like I was telling you to like work and work and work so you can have stability and you can have a
Mhm.
certain life for your family,
Freedom. Mhm.
even though it's just me in this house. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I always think of it like I am doing this for my future, like children and stuff like that. So
I mean, a lot of people are doing YouTube or, because they enjoy it, but also because it's a great way to generate an income.
yeah,
I mean, and I don't think there's any shame in saying that. I mean, we're
right.
all doing this because it's fun, it's cool. There's a lot of perks to it, but also, you're making
Job.
money. It's a
Yeah,
job.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, um, what is your superpower that you think has led to your success on YouTube?
I think that my ability to just say whatever I'm thinking has really helped me. Even when I meet people in real life, like a new friend or, now that I'm dating, whatever, I hear all the time people always say, like, I've never met anyone who just like is this open or is just like this ready to like share all
Mm-hmm.
these things,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that really helps because the more you say and the more honest you are, the more people are going to relate to you and connect with you.
Yeah.
So, but reining that in a little bit has been difficult because like I
Yeah.
overshared. So it's a fine line, but I think that that really helped me grow.
Yeah, definitely. And last question, what is your number one piece of advice you would tell someone who is just starting out on YouTube?
I would probably say to think about why someone would watch your content. Because I've seen a lot of people who they don't have any type of following at all. And like their first video is like a get to know me video. And I'm like, okay, no one,
Nobody cares.
yeah, no, why would somebody watch this? No offense, but it's like you have to either like make someone laugh, teach them something, be something that they are looking up to. Like, you know what I mean? It has to be something like that. You have to draw somebody in. Why would they watch this? And it has to be drawn in like quickly. I feel like it's harder on YouTube because you see all these options and you're competing with all these options, and someone has to like
Thumbnails.
see, your thumbnail and title and click on it. But with TikTok, you have a few seconds to catch someone's attention because they're going to come across your videos, most likely if they're scrolling. So, stick to those first 3 seconds. It has to be something that's going to draw someone in. But I would also say, like, don't sacrifice who you are, your morals, or like something that you're comfortable with just to get quick views. Because if you keep doing that, it's going to paint like this overall picture of who you are, and it might not be a great one, So
and then that's your public persona, and that's hard to change.
Yeah, it's hard to undo. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, Alana, thank you so much. It's just such an interesting chat. And thank you for just being so open with your struggles and your depression and all that, and how YouTube plays into it. For people listening and watching, where can they find you if they want to see more about you?
So my channel is Alana Arbucci, Arbucci, and my Instagram is Arbucci. And then TikTok, I think it's Alana.Arbucci. But yeah. So.
Okay. Well, we'll list it all in the description below so people can find you. I'll make sure to list those kind of mental health videos. And thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that interview and you learned a lot from it. Now, if you have a YouTube channel or considering starting a YouTube channel that you're serious about growing and you want the best of the best when it comes to personalized feedback, advice, and up-to-the-minute YouTube strategy, then consider my Zero to Influence YouTube Bootcamp for Women. I have been running this bootcamp since 2018, and we have hundreds upon hundreds of very successful students that have gone through the program. And I can go on and on about the YouTube Bootcamp, but I want you to hear it directly from some of the women themselves.
I feel so lucky that I got to do Erika's bootcamp.
Before joining Erika's bootcamp, my channel was all over the place. I didn't know what I was talking about.
I would hear people say that I need to find my why and my voice and my audience and understand my target audience, but I never felt like I really understood what that meant.
Erika helped me come up with YouTube video ideas. She helped me with consistency. She helps me to interpret my analytics.
I started with 12,000 subscribers and now I have over 50,000 and it is growing rapidly.
My channel has grown almost 100,000 subscribers.
I definitely wouldn't have gotten to this place in such a short amount of time without Erika's bootcamp.
What makes Erika special is that she has been talking to and analyzing YouTube channels for years, and that has given her this bank of knowledge to pull from.
I'm constantly asking her questions about YouTube. I'm asking her advice about my YouTube channel.
Taking the Zero to Influence YouTube Bootcamp was one of the best
decision I could have ever made for myself, for my channel, for my own personal growth as a human being. I could not be happier.
I love that it has reinvigorated me in such a beautiful way. So I am so happy that I've joined.
You're crazy not to hire her. Get on it. All right.